The Marvels is the newest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the latest movie in the multiverse saga of the MCU, and the sequel to Captain Marvel. Basically, the plot of this movie is... Well, there's this new lady villain. She's mad at Captain Marvel. She's seeking revenge on the world she's protected, lived on, called home, and Captain Marvel's gonna team up with Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan to stop her, except these three are linked with their power, so whenever a couple of them use their power, it causes them to switch places, which is making things difficult for them. That is the best I can describe what the plot of this movie is. So yeah, not gonna waste any more time. We don't need to talk about the build-up behind it. Let's just get right into it. So first of all, I'm gonna talk about the good in this movie. Alright, I'm gonna say this right now. Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, the one who plays Miss Marvel, I really liked her in this movie. I thought from the trailers she was going to annoy the shiznit out of me. I thought I was gonna hate her character. I thought she was just gonna feel like the little sister, just tag along with the two older ones. Basically didn't think she would be able to carry her own weight in this movie, but she actually did a good job here. And for one, you see Miss Marvel as kind of like that fangirl that is getting the chance to pal around and team up with the superheroes that she has idolized for so long. I mean, the kid in us who loves superheroes can really connect with that kind of character because that's what we all want. I mean, we all grew up dressing as whoever, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. If there was ever a chance that the real life one was ever gonna meet us and wants to team up with him, we'd all lose our minds. Beyond that though, I feel like Iman Vellani just really was having fun in the role. She like fully embraced what the character was, what she was supposed to do, how she was supposed to be, and I thought she did a really good job. Also, the action in this movie is not bad. I mean, it's certainly not, you know, among the best that we've seen from the MCU, but it's somewhat enjoyable. Now let's just get into the flaws of this movie. Okay, here's the thing. The reality is simply this: nobody on Earth was really anticipating a sequel to Captain Marvel. I mean, I have said on numerous of occasions, and I don't think this is that hot of a take, that I think Captain Marvel is the worst movie in the Infinity Saga, and upon rewatching that, rewatching other movies, I stand more strong on that stance than I had when I said it the first time. More so than that, Brie Larson's performance as Captain Marvel, I've never really gotten the vibe anywhere, including in this movie, that she's really thrilled about this role, really passionate about this character, or even really wants to be here. I talk about all the time. There's that moment in Captain Marvel where the movie really drags because she goes back to Earth, she learns about her life, and she becomes really stoic and emotionless. Now granted, maybe the script instructed her to be like that, but maybe at the same time, that was part of Brie Larson's acting. Like, it was really hard for me in that movie to really get on board with her as a character, and in the projects we've seen her in since then, it's not like I've ever really gradually warmed up to her. Because the reality is this: I don't feel like Brie Larson is trying that hard to make Captain Marvel this beloved character, the same way we feel about her that we feel about the other heroes. And more so than that, Monica Rambeau, Kamala Khan, the only way you would really know these characters is if you tuned in to the Disney Plus shows. And even if you had, you were never excited to see these two. I mean, nobody who watched WandaVision finished that series jacked out of their mind to see Monica Rambeau again. And if you're one of the 3 people who saw Miss Marvel, you probably weren't all that excited to see Miss Marvel again. So that's kind of the problem right there when it comes to like marketing this movie and trying to get people on board with it. You're taking a character that no one really cares about, and you're teaming her up with 2 other characters that nobody really cares about. I mean, even the whole like problem they have in this movie, like, you know, oh, they can't use, you know, their powers at the same time because, you know, it causes an issue, it makes them switch places. I mean, for a little while it kind of seems like it's leading somewhere, but eventually it kind of just gets solved without any real explanation to it. And the reality is this: you almost feel like because Captain Marvel is such an OP fucking character as they've established in this franchise, they just almost need to find certain ways to nerf her a little bit in order for you to feel some sort of vulnerability or understand that she's not just the most overpowered character that we've seen. Just feels like a little something they threw in there to create one little snafu for the heroes. Also, the villain of this movie was played by Zaw Ashton. I think that's her name. I could be butchering that. But I'm going to tell you right now, this might be the most forgettable villain in the MCU. And that's fucking saying something. I I can't even remember this bitch's name. Like, what was her character's name? I can't remember. And you know, I'm not even gonna bother looking it up. I've just been calling her the female B version of Ronan, and you know what? I'm gonna stand by that because it's accurate. But female B version of Ronan, I mean, she's not really a compelling villain. She's not like overly powerful. She's not giving the performance of a lifetime. There's nothing about her that I cared about. Even her backstory. Like really, you learn about her and it's like, oh, Captain Marvel did something that caused civil war on her planet and also caused her son to die. Like not her biological son, but like the sun that, you know, surrounds her planet. You know what I meant. Like it throws that at us and we're just kind of like, okay, so we're supposed to either sympathize with you or care that you're going around trying to destroy all these planets. Basically, I don't know, the movie didn't really do a good job of helping us understand her as a villain, and frankly, her performance itself doesn't make her a memorable one either. Also, we've been talking about this for a very long time, namely the last few movies we've got in the MCU. But the humor in the MCU, it needs to stop, or at least it needs a refresher. Because frankly, not only does the humor in the Marvels not work, but it's completely out of place. There are two instances in particular. When the Marvels are on their mission and they're doing whatever they're doing, they make two pit stops. Well, not even two pit stops, but two things happen in this movie that are meant for laughs, but just don't work at all. I mean, at one point, the Marvels have to stop at this planet where everyone communicates by singing. So, you know, in order to communicate with these people, they have to sing to each other, and it's not even funny. It's meant for laughs, but again, it just feels awkward. It feels weird. It feels out of place. You're kind of sitting here just like, what was the point of that scene? I feel like if it was taken out, nothing would have felt emptier in the movie. And there's a scene later on in the movie with cats, you know, Goose the cat has a bunch of other little kitten alien things, and the kittens are going around doing a bunch of alien shit on Nick Fury's spaceship. Oh yeah, Nick Fury's in this movie, but does he do much? No. And again, that's a scene that's played for laughs. It's meant for humor, but it just didn't work. It fell completely out of place, and it just feels like, it almost feels like between those two segments, the MCU is just trying to find ways to make a sequel for the Marvels. I mean, already, this movie's like, what, an hour and 45 minutes? It's meant to be like the shortest of the MCU movies. But the reality is this, I'm starting to wonder, it's like, even with those two scenes, which feel completely unnecessary, it almost feels like the studio is telling you, we didn't know how to make a feature-length, good sequel to the Marvels, so they just had to throw stuff in there to fulfill a necessary runtime. And here we go. I'm going to get into what I think was the biggest issue that I had with this movie itself. It's simply the fact that by the end of this movie, throughout this movie, I never ever felt like the Marvels, these three ladies, ever really felt like a team by the end of it. I mean, you see the scene in the trailer, you know, Kamala Khan's all like, oh, we're a team, and, you know, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, they're both like, oh, we are not a team, and, you know, you're thinking, like, you know, the point of the movie will be like, okay, they're going to feel that way, like, it's not really going to feel like a team, by the end of it, it'll feel that way. It never really did. I mean, they all kind of just immediately agree to come together to, like, solve the problem or whatever it is, but I never really felt like there was real conflict, there was ever any real character development with them. By the end of the movie, it's like, yeah, they're working together to stop, you know, female B version of Ronan, but it's just because the movie says so. When the movie wanted me to feel, I didn't care. When the movie wanted me to become invested with these characters, I wasn't. I mean, look at other MCU movies like The Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, those movies start off like, yeah, everyone has to come together, but they all kind of butt heads. They don't namely really like each other. And then by the end of the movie, they all reach an understanding with each other. They all kind of get each other by the end. And they become a team. And you feel it. Like, you feel like they really developed these characters, so you became attached to them. And by the end, when they become a team, you're hyped for it because you feel like you saw the team form in front of your own eyes. In this movie, it never really did. In fact, there are moments, there's one in particular where they have to make a really tough hero call that clearly not everyone in the team is on board for. And I feel like if they rolled with that a little bit, if they built on that a little bit, you could have led to something that could have led to some conflict in the team, could have made some take a step back towards the others, and that's something they gotta work towards, at least learn to understand with one another. And then by the end of it, they could have reached that point where it's like, okay, I get you, we all understand each other now, and now we're a team, and you'd feel like, okay, a team was formed here. And frankly, it's not even a knock on the chemistry between the cast. The chemistry between the cast is fine. It's just the execution of the storytelling. The fact that by the end of a movie called The Marvels, I didn't even feel like it was a team called The Marvels. That's a big ball drop right there. So all in all, The Marvels, it's not good. Iman Vellani, I appreciated her charisma and her performance in this movie. She was having fun. She brought some light to it. She brought some good to it. I gotta give her credit where it's due. The chemistry among the actresses, like I said, that's fine. Like, whatever issues this movie dealt with, I don't believe it's because the cast couldn't get along or anything like that. But the movie has a completely forgettable villain. It has 3 leads that no one really cared to see again. Didn't feel like it became a team by the end. Has a couple of comedic segments that are completely out of place. Doesn't have any action that necessarily sucks, but is going to be remembered. The movie has a post-credit scene that's supposed to get you hyped up for, you know, the future of the MCU, but the reality is I wasn't as hyped as it certainly intended to. In fact, it has another one at the very end of the movie that I guarantee you should have been a post-credit scene. Probably was intended to be so, but for whatever reason they decided to attach it to the very end of the movie, so it just feels out of place. But I don't know, neither got me particularly excited, if that's what you're wondering. In the end, I'm going to talk about the MCU for a second. If you remember a few years back when we were nearing the end of the Infinity Saga, I compared Marvel's Infinity Saga to the New England Patriots. And honestly, I stand further on my statement that the MCU is like the New England Patriots. Both went on this historic run where they just dominated their industry, dominated whatever it is they did. They were the best at it. They had their haters, and their haters just had to suck dick every time they had success, which was very often. And then, you know, time goes on, things change, people leave projects, people leave industries, whatever it might be, and progressively both have gotten worse, have gotten further and further away from the glory that we once knew them as. And whether you're walking out of movies like The Marvels or you're watching the Pats on Sundays, you're walking out of both, or you're walking away from both saying, yeah, neither of them are very good anymore. Both need a rebuild, both need some significant addressing on the state of their franchises, and, you know, the hope is within a couple years, both can return to some form of their glory, come out and crush it, and give their fans what they want. I guess the real debate now is who's going to pull that off first. Is it going to be the MCU or the Patriots? Only time will tell. So that's all I got to say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.